For Thomas Aquinas, the existence of God is a logical necessity. He presents 5 arguments for God's existence, the most famous being the first mover argument. In the world, we observe motion and change, yet nothing moves itself. Each motion is caused by another. This chain cannot extend back infinitely. Therefore, there must be an unmoved mover, the first cause of all things. This we call God. There are 3 issues with this argument. First, why can the chain of motion not extend back infinitely? This is David Hume's idea. Our belief in causation comes from repeated observation, not an inherent law of reality. Number 2, if God can be posited as a necessary uncaused being, why not extend the same principle to the universe itself? God arbitrarily absolves the problem of a first mover by making him a perfect and unquestionable being, when we could just remove God from the equation and give that same power with the same explanatory principles to the universe itself. Number 3, advances in cosmology and quantum mechanics introduce concepts that challenge this. Notably, quantum fluctuations suggest that particles can arise spontaneously without a preceding cause. René Descartes offers a proof for God's existence rooted in reason. I think, therefore I am, he writes. From this foundation of doubt, I find that I am an imperfect being with a concept of perfection. This idea of perfection cannot come from myself, but must come from a perfect being, God. There are many objections to this and similar ontological arguments, notably that Descartes treats the concept of God as though it necessitates God's existence. However, as we all know, having an idea of something does not prove that it exists in reality. Albert Einstein and Spinoza reject the idea of a personal God, rather seeing God as the awe-inspiring harmony and complexity of the universe. This is closest to my belief. Immanuel Kant sees God as arising as a moral necessity, rather than a metaphysical reality. He writes, without God, the connection between virtue and happiness would break down. Dostoyevsky takes this idea one step further. Ivan in The Brothers Karamazov harps on this point, stating that if God does not exist, everything is permitted. This idea drives Ivan to madness as he feels responsible for the murder of his father, when the man who actually killed his father weaponizes this argument based on the claim that morality is relative. This is also the idea that underpins crime and punishment. Friedrich Nietzsche essentially saw Ivan's philosophy as the dominant idea of the coming times, as science erodes the need for God. He states, God is a creation of human fear and weakness. The belief in God served as a crutch, giving meaning to life and morality. But as society grows beyond these illusions, we must face the terrifying freedom of a godless world. It is up to humanity to create its own values. This process is embodied in his concept of the Übermensch, or overman, an individual who transcends traditional morality and becomes the architect of their own meaning. It's so great to be able to look back across the whole timeline of man's wrestling with God. I always wonder how the knowledge we have today pertaining to space, physics, and biology would affect these great historical thinkers' views of the world, if at all. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you all back next week.